Welcome to the Burrillville School Committee regular meeting, October 3rd, 2017, 6 p.m. Burrillville High School Media Center, 425 East Avenue, Harrisville, Rhode Island, 02830. Members present, all with the exception of Ms. Carden, who is excused, and Ms. Leclerc, who will be tardy, probably just becoming a little late, but she'll be here. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing after the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for the people who lost their lives for the terrible tragedy in Los Angeles. Thank you. Item 2.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we move to executive session under the Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5, A1 personnel.
Second.
I have a motion
In a second?
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll poll the committee. Joshua?
Yes.
Sylvia?
Yes.
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 We are in executive session, and we'll give Ann a minute to run some signs out. open session. I'd like to note that the committee took one vote in executive session, and we voted to accept the recommendation of legal counsel. Next item, 4, recognition. Having none, item 5, consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of the minutes from the regular meeting dated September 12th, 2017. Warrant number 3 for the month of September dated October 3rd, 2017, for a grand total expenditures of $2,408,151.29, and to award the bid for roof design services to L.A. Torado Architects of Providence, Rhode Island, in the amount not to exceed $56,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item, presentations by the public to the school committee. Athletic coaches presentation, Gennaro Ferraro.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us here. I'm joined here with Kevin Randall, English teacher, head basketball coach and assistant football coach, and Eric Tupper, head lacrosse coach and middle school special ed teacher and assistant football coach as well. My purpose of being here this evening is to, share some accumulating data on a research project that has been going on for a couple of years. Behind this movement or this expression, I have been in contact with multiple, most of our coaches in the building at the high school, some of the middle school coaches, met multiple coaches outside of our district, especially in our league, and other friends, of the coaching fraternity. So our goal here is to share and just shed some light in a non-threatening way of the condition and the happenings that is currently going on in a coaching way through the eyes of the coaches here at the Burrillville district. So the 21st century coach, over the past, this is my 21st season coaching, 22nd in the classroom, and through every year there is more coaching requirements that we are placed to have, whether it's certifications, so on and so forth, and that brings on a little bit more liability on our end. Annually, every year, we have to take and retake and pass a concussion course, which is a National Federation of High Schools course, through a website, and the Rhode Island Interscholastic League requires us, as well as the district does, and that's a good thing. Every year we have to take a rules test as applied to the Interscholastic League, as applied to coaching in the state of Rhode Island, specific rules to the state. We, are required to read, sign, and hand in the coaching handbook as well. Every 2 years, we have to become certified in CPR and AED and first aid, and that comes at a cost that we have to seek and find ourselves. Any new coach that comes into the district has to get a national BCI check at a cost of $35. Up until last year, this now has been waived by the Interscholastic League. We were required to spend $100 and become state certified through the Rhode Island Department of Education. That now has been taken away. A local BCI check costs money as well. Fundamentals of Coaching course, which again is a federation course required by the Interscholastic League at a cost of $50. So, any coach that steps on the field or on the court or deals with a student athlete here in the district, we can with confidence say that they're highly qualified. Now, any new coach that since 2007, pretty soon they're going to require, since 2013, I believe that the date is, every 5 years, there's going to be additional courses that they're going to have to take, again, at additional cost, something that they haven't shared with us yet. So that's to be determined. It's been since 1993 that the coaches have received any type of significant raise, and that's 24 years ago. Health and safety is paramount to us and something that we definitely take seriously every day at practice and at games. And again, I represent not just the football program, I represent, a lot of the people that I've spoken to and all the coaches here at the high school. Anybody that starts in the summer, there are heat acclimatization rules that we have to follow. We have to log days that go beyond 90 degrees and get that logged in, and we are limited to the time, practice time and breaks and water breaks. And I submit that to the athletic director and showing that, our schedule has heat acclimatization rules built into that. Injuries are always part of any game, so the prevention, the management, and the reporting of these injuries. Of course, allergies, every kid now has a particular allergy to something. It's grown, again, in the 21 years that I've seen it. Coming down the road, the Interscholastic League has mentioned and alluded to us now probably in the future having to go through some sort of nutritional requirement already, and we do this in football. I have them weigh in and weigh out after every practice in the summer and track their weight loss and recommend, rehydration at a particular rate. We do that already through a training that I received in Ohio a few years ago, but I know that's coming down the road. I know it was talked about exclusively at the spring rules interpretation meeting. Concussions are in the forefront of every sport, particularly though football, and I think it's a great thing that there is a state mandate that requires us, to follow a step-back program. Anybody who's been diagnosed with a concussion, there's a specific 5-step, return to play rule, and that's a good thing for the sport. But again, it's a state law, and so the first thing that's been told to us by the director of the Interscholastic League is this is a very litigious society, and so we have to follow these rules. And so after hearing it over and over again, it leaves a negative connotation to the fact of bringing concussions to light, which is important for the safety of every kid. Meetings, ton of meetings that we have to go to, league selection, banquets, interpretation meetings, the substance abuse meeting, and all these things are good. And we believe that they're necessary for this 21st century kid that we're coaching as well. There's parent meetings, team rule meetings. Last year we had to go to a Burrillville School Department mental health meeting. Various game scheduling responsibilities as weather changes and coaches cancel games, and it's a constant, with the email, constant volleying of trying to keep a schedule filled. Especially in football, we try to play 3 schedules: JV, varsity, and freshman. Equipment issues, that's always part of any sport. Inventory and minor repair. And some coaches are involved with actual field preparation. Fundraising. Fundraising is a big part of every coach and responsibility in this district. There's just not enough funds to go around, so we try to patch it up by raising money in different ways. And just for example, if we wanted to buy new jerseys for football, it would be $15,000 just for the jerseys, home and away. It's a big expense for any district and anybody to overcome. The 2 sets of jerseys that we've worn in football in 21 years, we've raised the money for them. Equipment, we raise money for equipment. We just raised money for a major football purchase of an end zone camera that we'll use. Now, is that necessary? No, it's not necessary. Does it make the game safer for the kids? It definitely will. It will help us a lot. But we had to raise the money to get that equipment, for that technical tool that'll help us to cater to practice. Team cloth, team camp. So anybody who wants to invest time in the summer and send their kids away, we've been going away to football camp for 20 years. And how do we pay for that? I raise money to help defer the cost to every family, not completely, but a portion of it. We take that off for each family, understanding that camps are expensive, overnight camps. Team cloth, anything that says Burrillville on it, the kids have to buy. So we try to minimize that. Some coaches like wrestling, they have tournaments that they have to go to. Something else, another thing that is important for the culture of the school and what builds a complete student athlete is eligibility. So academic eligibility falls directly on the shoulders of the coach. Grades, study halls, academic probation, progress reports, all that stuff. It's pretty difficult when you're not in the building. You try to keep on top of it. It's a difficult thing when there's no such thing as that paper trail anymore. There's a digital trail, and sometimes it's hard to keep up when you're trying to race to practice from work and handling all your other deals that you got to have. Social suspension with digital portfolio, that's another responsibility that falls on the player and the coach as well. And daily school attendance, which is important. In the past few years now, with the trend of co-ops, that now is another aspect, another avenue that the coaches have to deal with and be prepared for, and dealing with administrators and from other collaboration with another school. That takes time and effort. The coach's handbook, which is important, highlights health and safety, parental interactions, and our code of conduct, which is, again, something else that we have to sign and hand in. Actual coaching, which is very enjoyable. In order to be, again, in my opinion, the way that I like to run the football program is, to be an efficient coach, you have to go and seek knowledge. That knowledge costs money. How do you get new knowledge? You got to go to a coach's clinic. You have to ask the experts. You got to go and interact and find out what the new trends are. And not just in a football play or a lacrosse play or a basketball play, but the new trend in safety, hydration, taping techniques. I mean, there are so many things, more than just drills and plays, that, this school has amazing coaches that go and do this on their own. Scouting, it takes time. Whether you're physically going to the next game and scouting, like some sports do, in football, it really deals with, exchanging a film and spending time, on a computer breaking that down. But again, that program that we use called Huddle costs money. So we raise money for that, so that we can have it. And it's a lot of money. It's $900. My wife wouldn't like that if I wrote that check. Game planning. Again, just taking time. Practice plans as the roster changes, injuries, stuff like that. Upholding team rules, which is very important for me. Academic rules, behavior rules. We hold our kids accountable at every aspect. Something that I take a lot of pride in, and I know a lot of other programs in this school do too. College recruiting, exposure for that possibility. I know that it's a small percentage, but it does happen. We have three guys right now playing college football around in the area, and it provides them a better academic opportunity. It also allows us to establish positive relationships with other, coaches in the college ranks. Game day responsibilities. A game day in football is 6 hours long. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and not just on my end with the parents, lining everything up, my assistant coaches. If I'm leaving anything out, guys, let me know, please. Managing coaches and other volunteers, which is a great thing. People that want to be involved with a program, we welcome that. Anybody that wants to offer a positive hand or a helping hand in any way, of course, please come help it, make it better for the kids. But it does take time and effort to manage that and make sure that they are, doing the right things as well. So in the past 24 years, solid data will show that participation has gone up. 656 participants last year. 656 roster spots were filled by people in the school. Awesome. I wish there was more. I wish more kids played sports because it's so vital in that type of person who likes it to develop that holistic kid. You know, by the time they leave high school, it's one of their best, you know, most influential pieces of their lives. But with increased participation now comes the burden of responsibility in handling that. You know, access is everywhere. Social media, big time distraction problems. You know, I know it's dealt with every day here at the high school and with various interactions. But what does that do? Well, eventually someone's going to get in trouble if it's not prevented and dealt with in the right way. But again, that takes time and energy. That also leaves us vulnerable to parental attack 24/7. 24/7. Any type of defamation of character, an email, they can email the principal, the superintendent, anything like that. And who knows, sometimes I walk in and I don't know what's going on. Mental health has become in the forefront. And again, these are good things that we need to be aware of. All right? Kids are dealing with different things. It shouldn't make them not able to play a sport or be in the chess club or anything else. But depression, bipolar, autism, you know, we have these kids on our rosters. Suicide attempts, okay, and other type of things that, you know, we need to be aware of and deal with every day. Like I mentioned, the nutrition before, bullying, constant eye on the theme of the locker room, the pulse of the locker room. Family dynamic plays a huge role in how the kid shows up every day. Where is this kid's mind? You know, the psychology in dealing with the weekend with, you know, that they just had or whatever's going on at home. We know that's always an ever-changing thing. Something that's always on the forefront for us is drugs, alcohol, trying to keep the kids clean and away from that. And a lot of them do witness that at home, or they might do it themselves. And so we need to be able to counsel them in the right way. So this place is a great place. I always say Burrillville has the best kids, you know, that I know of, and because of their efforts, we've been able to accomplish a partial list of these accomplishments. So 13 sportsmanship awards in the past 5 years. That's amazing. 5 Coach of the Year awards. 20 opportunities, right? 20 opportunities to win a championship, coming home with 15 of them. Numerous playing in college in multiple different sports at different levels. You know, not many Division I, and that's not what this is about. But there are in different levels at different sports. Scholarships related to different or specific sports. All state, all league, all academic. These are all things that we're proud of our kids for. Student, you know, athletes of the month. League players of the year. You know, these are distinctions that are across the state. Pro Joe and Woonsocket Call, players of the week. So moving forward, I have data that I have collected from other places that, you know, I would be willing to share, and I will share just, you know, something specific to the football program. But, you know, moving forward, we're well aware that, you know, Burrillville is below average in many salary categories, that we're aware that there are budgetary limits everywhere. We know this. But we as the coaches, we want to work collaboratively to bring these issues to the forefront. This is not, you know, this presentation is not, you know, to be, you know, with pitchforks and lanterns. You know, this is a peaceful way and of showing what we believe should be in the forefront, shining light to things that we think are important, especially to us and our programs, which deals with our kids. So we want to be able to attract and retain quality coaches. That's important. You know, I wonder a lot, and I've had this conversation with Mr. Abadi many times, how many coaches don't even look at our district because there's just no compensation for it. You know, so the attraction and then retention, how many great people have left because we're all residents of this town. I have children that go to this school. You know, I want my kids to have the best teacher. I want my kids to have the best coaches if they choose to play. You know, so we're all residents here. We're all in the same fight. And I do understand that academics is first. Believe me, that is what I tell my kids every day. School is number one. Without school, you can't have all the extra stuff. It could affect opportunities for our students. So we're asking for a continuous and a fair commitment. You know, let's implement a system that lasts, that's fair for everybody. You know, something that can endure the changes and not be looked at for 24 years. So I came up with a 5-year plan. And this is in accordance with the coaches as well. So there are 65 paid coaches in the Burrillville School District, okay, at a cost of about $122,000. That includes coaches only salaries, plus the longevity award that's given if you stick around. The longevity award is capped at $500, and that's different for everybody. So that's, you know, I kind of stay away from that a little bit in trying to show you what I'm trying to show. So for salaries only, minus the longevity award, the budget is $114,000. The total athletic salary is $134,000. That includes the 2 administrators. You know, I propose, you know, I respectfully request that the committee would consider a $12,000 a year advancement in the coaches' salaries for the next 5 years. What would that do for us? Well, that would equal a total of $185 a year raise for every coach if it was split evenly. But I don't think that's not recommended by me, and certainly I would never make that decision. Those decisions would be made by the administration. That would equal $60,000 over the next 5 years total of an increase. So I have information. I do have numbers from other districts, but, you know, like I like to tell my boys is let's take care of us first. So, you know, in terms of a breakdown, in terms of football, to run the football program the way that we do, and it's involved. I know it is, and I make it that way, to try to put out the best product on the field, in the classroom, in the community, in 10 years from now, 50 years from now. It takes about 662 hours from January to after we hopefully make it back to the Super Bowl in December. So 662 hours, I'm estimating. My base salary without longevity is $2,650. That comes out to $4 an hour. The average head coach in this district, minus the longevity now, because that changes things. Obviously, it bumps it up, but it's different for every coach. The average head coach's salary here is $1,874. The average assistant coach is $1,643. So this isn't meant to be threatening or at all. We wanted to, and the coaches at the high school, this has been going on for a couple of years, and we want to shed light to the situation that we think needs to be addressed at some capacity, and we're willing to work collaboratively to implement a system that's fair and that can last for years to come, because we want the best people here coaching our kids. Did I leave anything out?
Very good presentation. Thank you. It made me aware of things I was very unaware of. Any questions from committee members? Alex?
I just want to make a comment. Thank you all so much for putting this together. It's been on my mind for a really long time, and I think you hit every point necessary. Just looking at the accomplishment slide, I couldn't hold back a smile. I was trying to cover it with my hand because it makes me so happy. Being a student athlete myself, to see the numbers put together is incredible. And just thinking about, as you were presenting, all the memories I've had with my coaches and even fellow coaches as teachers and in the hallways, I think the camaraderie that the coaches have as a whole, being both coaches and even some teachers, is amazing. So I think if there's a way we can do this to some degree, I think we should really consider it. I still talk to my field hockey coach regularly. That's how much of an impact she's had on my life, and I've been out of high school for almost 5 years. So I think if we can consider it, we should.
Anyone else?
I have 2 questions. What do other schools pay their coaches? What's the average?
Yeah, so I do have that information. For example, Pontiac, which is very similar to us, they have a straight schedule of $4,100 per head coach, no matter the sport, and $2,400 per assistant coach. I do have, through research, I do have other numbers, from area schools that are the same size and a little bit bigger, but that gets into a little bit more detail. But I do have that information that I can give you as well.
Thank you. And the other question is, you said there are 656 participants. Does that mean participants in sports or participants in? Does it mean all sports? Number of spots in all sports?
So there was 656 participants in terms of roster spots filled from every sport last year.
So basically it's spots.
Correct, yeah. So it's not kids, it's not total kids, it's roster spots that were filled.
Okay.
So, some kids
Some
play.
kids might be
Right.
2. And then what about clubs? You mentioned something about chess.
Well, that was a mistake by me. They're separate
Okay.
from this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good job.
Jonathan?
Yeah, and congratulations. I thank you for putting this together. You guys deserve all the kudos. I want to say one thing I noticed. Now, there's some coaching positions that are voluntary.
Correct.
And those volunteers have to go through these same hurdles.
Right, so, can I speak?
Yeah, I speak to that, please.
Right, so for football, and again, this is how I choose to do it, but, right, every volunteer, no matter what, every coach that is on the sideline has to go through the same, certification process of being able to coach. And, how we do it in football, because I'm very lucky and fortunate to have 10 assistant coaches. We have a dinner at the end of the year, and we split up the money. That's how we do it. So those guys can get a little money too.
And so you have a mechanism by which to get these fees refunded. In
No.
your case, or
No.
you're just splitting up whatever's left over.
Yeah,
and
so I take the 5 paid spots, and I ask my other 4 paid assistants to give up a portion of their salary, after taxes. And we meet up at my house, we have dinner, and we basically split it up at the table.
I think there should be a mechanism in place where, especially the volunteers, shouldn't have to bear the burden financially if they're stepping up to the plate, in my opinion. I mean, I think that's low-hanging fruit at the very least. I think, did we not agree recently that we did some type of raise? There was some money extended, because I think some of us are recognizing, and I recognize the importance of sports, because a sports team, the camaraderie and the academics that goes with it, I think works hand in hand, and I think it's extremely important, and your point's well taken. I appreciate the presentation, and certainly, I would certainly like to consider something like that. You presented it well, so thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I would just like to say thank you. You did a nice job, and at least like you said, bringing it to the forefront. So now we can look at and deal with. Thank you.
Maybe we could recommend some funding recommendations from Dr. Pilata on this. Dr. Pilata?
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, I think before the motion, I think over the last couple of years, we've made some inroads in athletics. We added teams, we added coaches, we added an assistant AD, and I think this is the next major step in recognizing the responsibility that coaches have. I think we all forget the fact that many of these kids may not be in school if they weren't playing a sport. And we all know that academics is number one, but to get to the academics, they get it through athletics and coaching. And I have to say that I very rarely get a complaint out of the coaching staff from parents. The only complaint I may get is their child's not playing enough time, and I think we all expect that, but I think the coaches put in many long hours. The certification cost, that comes out of their own pocket. I mean, 24 years is a long time not to consider some type of raise. And this is not an unreasonable request. I would certainly recommend to the committee that we add the $12,000 to the school budget this coming year and let it go through the budget process and see where we end up. But I certainly, for one, would support this recommendation. I think the coaches did their homework. They did it well. They didn't come in here saying, well, so-and-so gets paid this and we get paid this. I think they made a very reasonable, responsible presentation. And I think it's an area that we really have to take a hard look at, because coaching is extremely important today. Coaching affects kids' lives, sometimes more than the classroom teacher. And sometimes these kids go to the coaches for advice on different things. And so the coaches have a lot of responsibility, and I think we have to treat it as such. So I would certainly support the recommendation by Mr. Gennaro about the commitment. It's something that we can put into the budget every year, and you know, some years it may fly, some years it may not fly. It depends what the competition is in the budget. It depends when we put our budget together, what that budget comes to, and then obviously when we go to the town council, if they support it, that's great. If they pare it down, we have to take a look at it like we have to take a look at any other component in the budget. But I certainly would support their recommendation.
So I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation that was just presented.
I'll
I
second that.
second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in, I should have known.
I think we ought to take into account the teachers and the people who are involved with clubs also. That may have,
Well, when they come before us, then we'll take them into account.
okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Nice
Thank you.
job.
Nice job, guys.
Item 7, public comment. Anyone wishing to speak this evening? Item 8, personnel. Appointments, leaves of absence, retirements, resignations.
Make a motion, we approve the resignations of Eswibio Lopez, girls soccer head coach at the middle school, and Jennifer Castro, cheerleading assistant coach at the Burrillville High School, both effective immediately.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion, we approve the athletic appointments for 2017, 2017, 2018. Jay Brochu, cross-country assistant coach, Burrillville Middle School, $893.20. James Richards, girls head soccer coach, Burrillville Middle School, $1,430 plus $100 longevity. Catherine Forrest, girls soccer assistant coach, Burrillville Middle School, $1,144. William Lacey, softball head coach, Burrillville High School, $2,387 plus $400 longevity. Jacqueline Keeble, boys and girls cross country, Burrillville High School volunteer, and Tyler Lyons, junior varsity baseball, Burrillville High School volunteer.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the appointments of Bella at Burrillville Middle School, Eric Tupper, Linda Belanger for $35 an hour up to 4 hours per week, and Michael Meehan, $35 an hour up to 4 hours per week.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Um.
Make a motion to appoint Bella, appointments for Bella at the Burrillville High School. Erin Cahill, lead teacher, 1 additional hour per week at $30 an hour, as well as $35 an hour, 4 hours a week. Joshua Goodwin and Tara Staples, $35 an hour up to 4 hours a week. Why don't we say, the rest of these mentioned will be $35 an hour up to 4 hours per week. And that would be Charlene Charette, Lisa Gads, and Catherine Hauser, Ashley Krenka, Molly Govia, Amy Deely, Lindsay Endo, Lisa Scotty Johnson, William Grenger, and Michael Cropman.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion, we approve Burrillville High School extracurricular appointments 2017 and 18. Ryan McNulty, Debate Club, $400 shared. Megan Mania, Debate Club, $400 shared. Mary Lou Tupper, DECA, $700 shared. Edward Santoro, also DECA, $700 shared. Amanda Lemos, Theater, $1,000. Ashley Krenka, Theater, $400. Molly Govia, Theater, $400. Catherine Hauser, Theater, $200. Lara Bowen, Freshman Class Advisor, $800 shared. And Megan Mania, Freshman Class Advisor, $800 shared. And that's the high school. Yeah, and continue with James DePasquale, French Club Advisor, volunteer. Audra LaPlante, Robotics Team Assistant Volunteer. And Dorian Latoy, Robotics Team Assistance Volunteer.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 9, old business. Fiscal year 18 BSD budget update.
Motion to open.
Second?
Motion open a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Fiscal year 18 rink budget update.
Motion to open.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, no transfers are recommended at this time, it's just for informational purposes.
Thank you. Next item, it'll be policy 6613.2, school-based public access defibrillation program, AED, second reading.
Motion to approve policy P6613.2, policy related to pupil service, school-based public access defibrillation program, second reading, and dispense with the reading.
Second.
Motion is second.
Just,
Discussion.
oh, yeah, quick one, Mr. Chairman, thank you. It does make reference to specific personnel that can have the responsibility of administering this. Is that readily available with the equipment? Like, is that list posted so that if something's going on and they need to contact someone who's authorized to use the equipment, is that readily handy? Yeah, I'm just curious about how that would play out. You know, if somebody's in a situation like that, how do we contact the people who are able to administer the device? Do you know if
Well,
that's?
they're notified. I mean, they have the responsibility that they're identified. The individuals are identified.
So
they
the
know
school
they have
would
that
already know who to
responsibility.
call upon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it-
so that's not, yeah.
It is in here.
It was in there and I missed it?
It's pupil personnel director, facilities director, building school nurse teacher, building principal, athletic director, and school physician. Do you see it?
Yeah, but I think, was there an indication that others could be certified as well? Correct, so that there could be another alternative. Just throwing that out as
Go ahead.
a thought.
All the teacher assistants were trained this year. We opened it up to the coaches this year as well before school started. All the nurses are trained, so if there were an emergency during the school day, the
Yeah.
nurse would be the first point of contact.
Yeah.
And then if they weren't there, then it would be the next, any of the other people would just
Sure.
all call.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Policy 4219, internal controls for the management of grants, second reading.
Motion to approve the internal policy 4219, internal controls for management of grants, second reading, and dispense with the reading.
Second.
Motion is second, discussion? Melissa?
Another question, Mr. Chairman. I was just curious, and I should have probably had an opportunity to voice this question. I didn't see it till late. Just with respect to copyrights, I was unclear as to what it was referring to when it references subject writings. This would be on page 5 at the bottom. So the grantee may own or permit others to own copyright in all subject writings. Is that curriculum content driven material that they're referring to, whereas whatever's been generated through the funds from these grants are then under this copyright? Because as you go on to read it further, it says the federal government will have a non-exclusive, non-transferable, irrevocable, royalty-free license to exercise on behalf of the United States and the entire world exclusive rights provided by the copyright. So it just seems so like, what do they
Kind
do?
of vague.
Well, a little bit. What is the subject? I guess the word that I'm looking at definition for is subject writings. What is the subject right? Do we know what that?
I don't, I can check with the Department of Ed because this sample actually came from the Department of Ed.
Yeah.
So this is something that they generated to comply with the federal requirements. I can check and get clarification from them about what the copyright.
Yeah, because I just wasn't clear if it was something to do with the grant itself or with the work that's done by students and teachers. Is that what's?
The grant writer, you mean?
That's it,
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what they're referring to in the subject writings. I just didn't understand it, and I would have brought it to your attention sooner, but I didn't catch it until.
I would assume it'd be a narrative that you had to write in order to get the grant. Maybe that's something they wanted to copyright.
And then to piggyback just off that one piece, all the information you provided was very thorough. Thank you. I was able to kind of see those are the things I was concerned about. Was there a copy of the actual signed grants that we can also have copies of? You know, when the signature on the bottom line, all the particulars in the grant application itself.
The grant is done online, so technically there is no signature. We do have a sign-off sheet that assurances that we sign off on.
Yeah, I
So
think.
did you want a copy of that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm looking for, just to, I mean, I know we're following the compliance of all of the rules and regulations as you outlined for us, but just to see if there's any differentiation between what the federal regulations are and if there's anything on that application. Sometimes I have a tendency to overanalyze, but I appreciate your cooperation on that. Thank you.
Anyone else? I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to put an A in because I just don't feel comfortable with a lot of things, so I'm going to vote no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10, superintendent's report.
I have nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Item 11, administrators' reports.
Make a motion, we accept and approve the administrators' reports, barring any comments, and thanking them for a job well done with a lot going on already. Like, hit the ground running, but barring any comments from the committee.
I just have a quick comment. I just want to second that. Thank you for sharing all of the summer news. A lot went on over the summer, so it was nice to read that and to be reminded of how hard our staff works even during the summer. And also, high school homecoming is coming up later on in the month, so we won't have another meeting until after that. So I hope all of our students enjoy it, and I'm sure we will be asked to judge the floats.
Judge the float.
So I always look forward to that. That's an annual event I always get excited for, so.
Thank you.
That's it.
I have a motion
Second?
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 12, reports of school committee subcommittees. I have none this, Alex, you have something?
Am I allowed to just make a note, even if I didn't submit anything to you? That's fine, right?
Sure.
So I met with a representative from the RIHSC, the Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition, regarding the health and wellness subcommittee policy for the district. So now it's on me to make some of those updates to the policy and then present it all to you. So I am working on that. I'm hoping to get that to you, if not next month, the month after. So I'm working
Thank
on
you.
it, though.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
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 We did that?
Mm-mm.
No,
There was no motion?
She just made
We just- Okay. Oh, okay.
Thank you
We
for
all
being
agree-
in favor
we
of my
all
work.
agree on what you said.
What you're doing is,
Thank you.
It's supposed to be the other way around. Item 13, correspondence communications.
I just wanted to let you all know that I did reach out to the principals and administrative teams throughout the district regarding the Kindness Rock project, which I had presented last month. I've gotten nothing but a positive response, so I'm really excited to see where that goes. And I only presented it for the elementary schools, but I've also gotten positive feedback from the middle school and the high school. So I think they're going to transform that into some sort of community service project or school spirit project. So.
I received some correspondence from George Duchamp, giving his warm, humble thanks to the school committee for recognizing him in his service. So I'd pass that along.
Anyone else? I would like to congratulate our athletic director, John Abadi. I was hoping to catch him before he left. He has been being inducted into the Providence Gridiron Club Hall of Fame.
Oh,
nice.
that's awesome.
The other thing that I have is, I know the school committee members, I don't know how much of the administration have seen the Broncos Give Back video. I know most of us get to see it, and it was a great thing. So I would certainly advise anyone who did not see it, is on the BSD website, Broncos Give Back, and it's just, it's a great video.
I'll
So
see it.
everybody should watch it.
We submitted that to RIDE. RIDE has a section on their website to they ask all the schools any accomplishments and good deeds, and so we submitted that to RIDE. At some point, when it does come out, I'll notify you. But they'll distribute that throughout the state.
Awesome, thank you. New business, item 14, approve homeschool applications.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. P 3811.1, service animals in schools, first reading.
Motion to approve P 3811.1, service animals in school, first reading, and dispense with the reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Question. I didn't see anything in here, and maybe I missed it. What happens if another student is allergic to dogs? What do we do in that case?
Yeah, it does cover that here, I think.
Does it cover that here? I'm not,
Well,
I read it.
it does to the extent that ultimately the service animal cannot affect other students. So that's at the discretion of the teacher or the administrator, whoever it is.
Yeah, we would have to treat it like we treat peanut allergy.
Yeah, but do we have to like separate the two students in that case?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Next item, appoint councilman for AFS CME Negotiations Subcommittee. I would like to appoint Dorothy Carden to that committee. She accepted by proxy. It would be her and I on the subcommittee. Dr. Pilata will explain the process by which that takes place, but it would be us two, and I assure you that the whole committee will receive their contract that they have in place right now. Everyone from the committee will receive a copy of that. You can look through it, make comments, recommendations, send them to Dr. Pilata for his review. We will keep you updated, and ultimately, the entire committee approves the new contract, so you will be kept abreast all along the way. Do you have any comments on that, Paul?
No, I think that the process that we've utilized in the past is that myself, Robin, and Bill, and the two subcommittee members will meet. We'll review all the input from everyone. We'll put together a package of information that we'll submit to Council 94. They will submit a package to us, and that usually takes place sometime in February. And then we'll negotiate through the process, hopefully to accomplish a new contract in a couple of months.
Good. Next item, committee on agenda items.
I guess the only thing I could say is that with looking through the administrators' reports and things going on in the schools as well as Halloween, I just wish everyone a happy, safe Halloween. By the time we meet next time, that'll be over and done, so, thank you.
Thank you. Item 16, pending issues, school bus employees appreciation.
I'm going to make a motion that we take that off the pending issues. Dr. Pilata and I have met, and we've come up with a plan probably to recognize them at the beginning of the school year. Probably to recognize at the beginning of the school year when it's kind of cool and a hot coffee would be good. So maybe coffee and donuts or something like that. We'll work it out, yeah.
I guess I'll take that as a motion.
Yes,
I'll
that's a
take that as a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Levy Rink locker room projects update.
Right now, we're still in the process of collecting the different, if not bids right now, it's just different quotes for different disciplines. And hopefully by next month's school committee, we should have a number that,
Good. Thank you. Item 17.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.